Hey y'all, and welcome to Brawl. My name is Brian, and this reporter thinks that she's going to do a great job in catching Ron DeSantis in a gotcha moment, and he completely turns the tables on her. This is amazing. Let's dive in.
Appropriate for the president-elect or a president to be criticizing.
Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question.
Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what you said.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you, they're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of LA, if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know the fires are at high risk and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that, and yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed in that thing. And so, I'd like to see some balance on how this is done. You could criticize the president-elect, but I think you also have to hold these other people accountable, and I have not seen that.
He's right. When the dude is right, he's right. And Ron DeSantis is unusually good at this sort of political posturing. He really is a political animal. That's why his star is still on the rise. And even though he ran against Trump in 2024, he's going to be interesting to watch in 2028. J.D. Vance is still my guy, but that's not the important part here. The important part is what would happen if the media started talking about a Republican mayor in Los Angeles. If the mayor of Los Angeles or the governor of California was a Republican, how would the media be treating this? Well, folks, you don't really have to wonder, because I'm going to explain it to you very simply. Remember Ted Cruz? Okay, he's not in the news as much anymore, and he was never a really popular Senate candidate. And as a matter of fact, at one point during his early career, Lindsey Graham said if someone were to shoot Ted Cruz on the Senate floor, you would not get a conviction for a vote. Okay? He was tough to work with, but he mellowed out. He realized what he was doing wrong, and he figured out how to become a good senator. And remember when Texas had that terrible snowstorm that just kind of came in out of nowhere and shut the state down for about 3 days? He happened to be with his family in a vacation down in Mexico at the time, where it was nice, warm, sunny, all-inclusive resort. Yeah, it didn't go over well in the press. They raked him over the coals, and even fellow conservatives were out there criticizing him. Let's compare that to the mayor of Los Angeles right now. And, let's see, what did this mayor do? She went on a weird tour in Africa. She went to Ghana, kind of out of the blue, by the way. And, she came back at the last minute, even though she was briefed on the potential for bad wildfires to happen because the conditions were right. And again, California doesn't govern itself too well. And it hasn't since the 90s, and arguably before that. Although the terrible truth is the Republican Party did have a huge California problem. They kind of overgoverned and then basically got themselves kicked out of power. And the Democrats looked at the ruins and said, we can't repair this. Let's do what we can. And it's been terrible ever since. And the worst part is California should be the gold standard for the United States. It's one of the prettiest, if not the prettiest state. I'm personally a huge Utah fan. I love the desert Southwest. But California has the Sierra Nevada mountain range. It has giant sequoias, multiple groves all over the state. It has the only place in the world where there are redwoods. It has a beautiful set of deserts out there in Lone Pine and Death Valley. San Diego, very pretty. Malibu, granted, it's been burned by the fires, but Malibu, that's where you went to just go chill out, take a surfboard out there, and enjoy the pristine weather conditions of the Humboldt Current and the natural climate of the state of California can provide. That's why Hollywood. That's why Hollywood moved from New York City. The original movie industry got its start in New York, if I'm not mistaken, but it moved to Hollywood because you don't have to deal with rain problems. You don't have to deal with any real weather issues. It's always sunny, so you know exactly the right conditions for filming. California should be the gold standard. I mean, back during the Great Depression, everyone in the Great Plains and part of the Midwest decided to go, okay, we can't deal with this anymore. We're going to move to California. And it's no longer that standard. It's been mismanaged to the point where it's gotten so brittle that it can break apart in your hands. A single set of wildfires is bringing Los Angeles to its knees, and all because the leadership refuses to do what's necessary across the board. All you've got to do to deal with this one problem, clear the underbrush. Okay? It's that simple. And if this was a Republican in the media, if this was under Republican leadership, there would be nothing but scorn, ridicule, SNL skits. You'd have entire TikTok challenges trying to tell you how to be as ridiculous as these Republicans are when governing. But no, because there is a D next to this mayor's name, because there is a D next to Gavin Newsom's name, these guys are getting a free pass in the fair press. And that means we don't really have a fair press, because a good set of journalists would get to the root of an issue. They would be exposing the problems. That is the point of having journalism. It's not to muckrake and give you these weird headlines that grab your attention. That's not the point. The point is to reveal the truth, often when it's nothing but lies that are being presented to you. And remember how they treated Ted Cruz when he went off on vacation while Texas was in the middle of its worst snowstorm ever? Yeah, that's not happening here. Does it need to happen? Probably. These people deserve the ridicule. They deserve to be blamed. They deserve to be scrutinized and criticized. But these people don't get the same standards in the American media because most of our media is corrupt. Most of our media has been captured. Most of our media has one goal, and that is tell rich white liberals exactly what they need to hear, what they want to hear, and that's exactly why California is in such a terrible state. They told rich white liberals for decades. They tickled their ears and tickled their fancy, basically telling them everything's fine. You don't have to worry about anything. The wildfires can't get you here. Well, guess what? That facade has now completely and totally broken. So Ron DeSantis is absolutely right. And since he is a governor from a state that is constantly beset by hurricanes and tornadoes, he knows what a natural disaster looks like. Which is ironic because California is another state that's known for its natural disasters. San Andreas Fault, major earthquakes. Mudslides all over the place when there's too much rains during the monsoon season. Wildfires have been a continual problem. You'd think that California would be prepared for this, but they're not. California deserves good leadership. Unfortunately, rich white liberals make that nearly impossible. And the media is just sitting there and telling everyone that everything's fine, there's nothing to worry about, despite the fact that there are literal flames consuming your house. That is the state of American media, and it needs to change. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.